verse 61. We'll read the link first. So, having expressed to the Guru, Sadguru, his doubt regarding the indestructible nature of the soul that rose under the influence of the Charvak philosophy, the disciple said that it seems the nature of the soul is not eternal but is of creation and destruction. Atma is not beginningless, endless, permanent, immortal, eternal, same thing, huh? But it is upaje, so it's created, એનું origination છે અને it can be destroyed, it does perish. So this was in verse 60. So it's clear, right? So disciple now presents an argument that has arisen under the influence of the Buddhist philosophy, or you can say from the perspective of the subtle modifications of life, like the states of anger, etc., that change every moment. Kshane, kshane, your moods change. You are in anger, you are happy, you are sad, etc. So, therefore, it is momentary. The knower, the feeler is momentary. So, actually the Buddhist philosophy, it believes that the stream of consciousness is beginningless. But the soul is not beginningless. I'll explain all this. The soul is created and it dies also. It's born and it dies. But this birth and death, birth and death, birth and death, birth and death, this stream of consciousness is beginningless. And that too, it can end when you attain nirvana. Nirvana is the word used for liberation in Buddhism. So that is the time even the stream of consciousness ends. If you want, I can explain in detail. So let's turn towards the Gatha first. પહેલા એ સમજી લો પછી બુદ્ધિઝમ સમજીએ. But whatever philosophy's influence is, his thing is everything I see changes. Whatever is created is destroyed. And so even a soul is a substance. All the substance are subject to change, and even the soul will change, and so the soul will also, and this change happens every moment. So this argument, I have named it as soul is momentary. That was soul is not eternal. Verse 60. Only for a specific time period. And this is soul is only for a moment. It dies the next moment. The disciple, influenced by the Buddhist doctrine of momentariness, he argues,
अथवा वस्तु क्षणिक छे, क्षणे क्षणे पलटाय, ए अनुभवथी पण नहीं, आत्मा नित्य जणाय.
Athva meaning or. So now I am presenting another argument. I am giving you one more reason to believe that the soul is not permanent. First was it is created with the body and dies with the destruction of the body. So that was one of, and now Athva means this is a second argument now. It's not the continuation of the first. Okay? So Athva or Vastu kshanik che. Vastu means not soul, any substance, sentient, non-sentient, animate, inanimate, all substance, jad, chetan, everything. Vastu kshanik che, substance is transient. Kshanik. Kshan means one moment. So kshanik means momentary, transitory, transient. Kshane kshane paltai. Kshane kshane paltai means changes. as it is seen, it changes every moment. Every substance changes every moment. Even science will accept this. Okay? So, Athva, now the second argument regarding the second pad, second fundamental truth of the soul, second argument. So, Athva, Vastu kshanik che, kshanik kshane paltai che. Substance is transient and changes every moment. A anubhavti pan, even from that experience, nahi atma nitya janai. I've taken nahi below. Soul is not or does not seem that it is eternal. And we need to understand this a little bit. So, short meaning, or substance is seen to undergo modifications every moment. It keeps on changing every moment, and therefore all objects or all substances are momentary because the changes are observed, experienced, seen. So, see, you will be confused because you know the giant perspective. Right? Okay, substance and it changes. So, that is substance. But here the Shishya is not clear with Dravya and Paryaya. Okay, substance and modifications are two different viewpoints. He just feels modification itself is substance. So if the substance is modified, so new substance is created. Why you want to say the same substance is continuing? So if this is true for all the jads and material objects, it is the same for the soul too. So let's see. So all substance is seen to undergo modifications every moment, keeps on changing every moment, and therefore all objects are momentary. Judging from experience too, the soul does not seem eternal. Okay? So basically the disciple, the pupil, the student, he gives us second reason to believe that the soul is not eternal. So second reason he is giving in this verse or stanza or Kadi, Gatha. So he says, change is the law of life. Change is the law of the universe. Change. And even we have heard in many lectures, change is inevitable and you must learn to accept, etc. So change is the law of life. And all things constantly evolve, grow, meaning develop, then decay, decompose. All substance. તમને શું લાગે છે આ ઘડિયાળ કેટલી ટકશે ઋષભ? It's made in India. કેટલી ટકશે? We won't even use it, તો you used it badly એમ બી નહીં બોલો. અમે અહીંયા જ રહેવા દઈશું. કેટલા વર્ષ ટકશે? How long? બેટરી છોડ ને, આ સ્ક્વેર પીસ જ રાખે ને. Keep going for eternal substance. Huh? No, but it won't. The law of universe says even if it's made in India or USA, it has to decay. It can after 500 years maybe. Or after 1,000 years. Change is the law of the universe. How much ever you go to the gyms and you remain fit, but at one point you will be like this. Right now you will be expanding. So either you are expanding or you are decaying, but you won't remain the same. This is the law of the universe. You understand? So anything, if it's kept nicely, say 1,000 years. If it's mishandled, misused, used by dopes or anyone, maybe tomorrow it will be over. પણ wear and tear is the law of nature. That makes this new clock old. Now, you'll never be able to say that this is this many years old. But it is from the wear and tear, because that is the law of the universe. So he's saying, "એ અનુભવથી પણ નહીં, એમ કે I observe this law of universe everywhere. I see it in my body, I see it in my house, I see it." એક વર્ષ તમે આરાધનામાં રહ્યું, કેટલો wear and tear થઈ ગયો. તમે જશો ત્યારે કોઈ કહેશે કે આ એક વર્ષ જૂની ધર્મશાળા છે. એમ લાગશે કે ઓ આ રાજાના વખતની લાગે છે. ધરમપુરના રાજા હતા 20 years પહેલા, કે આ સરસ એમને બનાવેલું મકાન લાગે. So wear and tear is the law of nature. It's not how you use it, where it is created. That the figures will change. 5 years or 50 years or 500 years. But wear and tear, evolving, growing, decaying, decomposed. This is the law of nature. નહીં તો હજી ઇન્ડસ વેલી અને સિવિલાઇઝેશન ને બધું હોત ને. વાય એવરીથિંગ ઇઝ જસ્ટ ગોન ડસ્ટ. કેવી જાહો જલાલી હશે ત્યારે. You know anything? Arushi, bol. At least give me names of 3. Nemiji, how many do you know? 3? Okay, 4. 4 places of the Indus Valley civilization. I can give you a hint. એકના ઉપર એક મૂવી થઈ છે. હા, મોહેન્જો-દારો. Yeah. That is in Sindh. And I visited personally, Palitana Jata, I visit all the places because it's Harappan and Mohenjo-daro. So Mohenjo-daro is now, that area is in Pakistan right now. And Harappa is a little bit in Gujarat. So Ahmedabad પાસે there are a lot of Lothal અને એવા કેટલી બધી જગ્યા છે. તો હું જાઉં, nobody comes with me. And they say, "We are interested in the present." Meaning they enjoy Manhattan. આવું બધું જૂની જાહોલી. There's so much to learn. ઇતિહાસ. History is called ઇતિહાસ. ઇતિ એવું હું તો હસવામાં કહું, ઇતિ has. આવું હતું. It has happened. And you have to learn so much from their mistakes. And so much you can learn from history. But I don't have such association. I'm not lucky. Alright. So, if all the substance have to pass the process of, say, either expanding or decay, the soul being just a part of the larger scheme, so the same rule applies to the soul also. If it has to be a substance. It's possible, right? That's what he admitted in 59. Okay, possible, existence is possible. So if it has to be a substance, then the law of nature will apply to that substance also. And so even that has to decay and decompose, die, perish. And so it's the soul being immortal is far from truth. So before turning towards the actual words of the verse, I can tell you the disciple has really thought well, but he has missed out a moot point. And that is the still center, the unchanging behind all the changes. He can observe the changes, but when you have to determine what it is, substance, define a substance, these observations are not the only attributes of the substance. Rather, so yesterday we were in the Gappa and I was asking Atma Pichshraddha because she makes us do all the asanas and all. So I said, what is Chakki Chalasan? So, કર્યું પણ મેં કીધું, but what is it? I don't know. So I'm really shocked if you don't know Jannat and you dance on Jannat Hogi. And if you do Chakki Chalasan, and if you don't know what exactly is Chakki, so તને તો આવડે છે ને? હા, what is it? Yeah, so grinding stone તમે કહો, so આપણે લાવશું એક, હા, because in verse 868 I'll need it. આવી જશે? Okay. So that Chakki Chalasan એટલે ચલાવવું. So Chakki actually એક દિવસ એવું જ રાખી દો તો આપણા આશ્રમનું બધું કામ થઈ જાય. So once you can keep such exercise and you can coordinate with him અને સમજો ડબ્બામાં મીઠું ભરવાનું હોય કે આમાં કરવાનું કે just give good fancy name for it, and we'll be doing it. You should salt burrowing asan. ભરી દેશો એટલે પહેલાના બહેનોને ટાઈમ ક્યાં હતો યોગાસન કરવાનું? They didn't have helpers. They did all the household work. They looked beautiful. Why? Because they used to do their household work. So Chakki Chalasan, so I was saying Chakki is made up of two stones. One stone is stationary and the second rotates. And this whole thing is called Chakki, not the top. But you can see the top rotating, but you can't see that unchanging. So he misses out on the moot point, the disciple. So he's concluding everything is momentary, everything is changing, and change finally into decay and death. And so no substance. But he cannot observe because he's not seen the substance from that perspective, which the Guru is going to open and show him. Okay? So turning towards the verse now, it's very easy to grasp. So Athava first. So in the previous verse, the disciple has said what? Soul is not eternal. Why? Because it is created with the association of the body, destroys on the disintegration of the body. So the soul does exist, but for a limited time. And what is that limited time? The lifespan of the body. Whatever your body, lifespan, that lifespan, till that time the soul exists. So it does exist, but it's not immortal, it's not permanent. That was the argument in the previous verse. No, I'm not saying Charvak philosophy. Influence means what? He must be not totally convinced about the existence. That's why other philosophies could influence. He was not convinced of the immortality. So he's feeling, how this is wrong then? How is that incorrect? So somewhere he was not firm in his conviction. Only then can something influence you. The whole world is there. Why is the Gnani not influenced by it? Whole Devlok is there. Why is the Gnani not influenced by it? Being steadfast in the soul. So somewhere, if you know, but you are not convinced, then it's not a virtue at all. And that's why conviction is called Samyak Darshan. And knowing is called Samagnan. And what is more important? Samyak Darshan. So this was verse 60. And now he wants to present another viewpoint. Another argument in support of soul is not eternal. And what is that? So Athva means or, and now he presents this. So what does he say? Vastu kshanikache. Change or transformation is the law of nature. law of nature bolo, law of life bolo, law of universe bolo, but it is acceptable to all, even people of logic. Empirically also it can be experienced. You see the change. So change is something you can't just deny. Change or say transformation, just a heavy word for change, baki kai nathi, it's change. Change is the law of nature, and nothing stays in the same form even the next moment. Same, exact same. Similar ho sake, but same nahi, because every moment the substance changes, right? So it's quite reasonable, quite logical, and in accordance with our experience also. We have experienced this. રાઈટ, આ બધા પ્રેમાર્પિતને દોડતા તમે જોયા છો કે નહીં? મેં જોયા છે. આમ સર્વાર્પિત કે શનાર્પિત જેવા હતા when they met me. So nobody was dying, everybody had their natural black hair. In that sense dying. So they were living અને દોડો અને બધા ડિપાર્ટમેન્ટ્સ એ લોકો જ સંભાળે. એવરી વન હેડ 5, 5, 6 ડિપાર્ટમેન્ટ્સ that time, because nothing was so organized જેવું હમણાં છે તેવું. And they were running, and suddenly you see them in wheelchair, સ્ટિક લઈને બતકની જેમ, એક પગ ઉપર આખું શરીરનો ભાર, પછી આખો શરીરનો ભાગ બીજા પગ પર, અને પછી પાછો આ પગ પર, અને suddenly they forget. એ પિંટી અહીંયા આવું ને, પણ પિંટી એનું નામ જ નથી. અને પછી મગજ જાય કે કેમ પિંટી માનતી નથી, પણ આમ પિંટી જ નથી. સો નાઉ ઓલ ધીસ શરીર, મેમરી, આ બધું તો કે ધીસ ઇઝ ધ લો ઓફ નેચર, ઇટ વિલ ચેન્જ. તમે ગમે તેટલું આઈઆઈટીમાં સારું લાવ્યા હોય, પણ હમણાં તમે કેટલીક ચીજ ભૂલી જતા હશો. એન્ડ ધેટ ઇઝ ધ લો ઓફ નેચર, સબસ્ટન્સ. So he's saying, I'm observing this is in my experience. એ અનુભવથી પણ નહીં. એટલે આ મને અનુભવ ચેન્જનો થાય છે, અને તેથી એ અનુભવથી પણ હું માનવા તૈયાર નથી કે anything remains same, unchanging, because I'm seeing the change in every substance. એક ઓરેન્જ જ્યુસ તમે કાઢીને રાખો ને, હમણાં કાઢીને ફ્રેશ નહીં પીવાનો, અને પ્રિઝર્વેટિવ્સ બી નહીં નાખવાના, અને પછી સાંજના તમે પીઓ, એની સ્મેલ, એનું ટેસ્ટ, એનું કલર, everything changes. So it's in our experience that every substance changes, and that too minutely. If you see, it changes every moment. You might come to know after an hour or after 3 days, but actually the change is not sudden. હમણાં આમ છે ને સીધું બ્લેકમાંથી વ્હાઇટ થઈ ગયું, એમ નથી. Slowly it has reached this state. Right or wrong? So this is my experience. The Shishya is saying, I've seen new things getting old. તમે જ વિચારો, મે મહિનામાં તમને જે રૂમ મળ્યું હતું આરાધનામાં, મે મહિનામાં મળ્યું હતું ને, એ લોકો કેવું ન્યૂ લાગતું હતું, હવે કેવું ઓલ્ડ લાગે છે. Why? Worn, torn, broken, divided, destroyed, decomposed, transformed. All these words are just showing change. For change you might be using one of these words only. Decomposed થઈ ગયું, wear and tear છે, worn, torn, divided, broken, but you are actually saying change. So change is observed. It's concluded that is the law of nature. And if every substance has to change, why not the soul? So basically, kya bhul થાય છે? That state has changed. Instead, he's not using the word state, so he's saying the substance is changing. Meaning this substance has died and this substance is created. This substance dies, this substance is created. Actually, it is the state which is created. The substance remains, the state changes. This is what Jainism says. But here he could not differentiate between the substance and the state of the substance. So he is saying the substance changes. Changes meaning it is destroyed and created. So all substance, psychical or physical. Psychical એટલે anything connected with mind or spirit. અમુક જન માઇન્ડ જ માને એટલે સાયકોલોજી, સાયકોલોજિસ્ટ, અમેરિકાનું જુદું છે એટલે પૂછું છું. સાયકાટ્રિસ્ટ, સાયકાટ્રિસ્ટ, ઓકે. See, it is cycle, anything pertaining to mind or spirit, and physical, anything pertaining to body. So, psychical hoy ke physical hoy, if it is a substance, law of nature is applied to it, and so it has to constantly flux kidu, flux from the word, from meaning fluctuate, change. Constant change, constantly changing. Anything in this world of space and time has to change. એટલે time and space એટલે આપણે કહીએ આ જૂનું થયું, because at this point of time and at this point of time it was new, so now it's old. તમે એક મહિનો કોઈ ફ્લાઇટમાં જોઈને કે હવે નથી લેવાની ઈચ્છા, પણ હવે એ સેકન્ડ હેન્ડ ભાવમાં જ જશે. એક મહિનો તમે જે વાપરો ને એમાં ઓલ્ડ થઈ ગયું. સો એનીથિંગ existing in the world of space and time has to undergo change, and which is this disciple is saying, which is observed by us, and especially even on the feeling aspect. We see auspicious, inauspicious, meaning shubha, shubhav, ashubhav. So we see the fluctuation, we see the flux, we see the change and the constant changing. In the beginning of the satsang you are different. In the middle of the satsang you are different. End of the satsang you are different. In the first shibir you are different. In the last shibir you are different. You are only seeing. Where are you seeing unchanging? Changing maybe to better. હવે બહુ મજા આવે છે, but that has changed, no? From થોડી મજા આવે છે તેમાંથી બહુ મજા આવે છે. So that also is change. So I'm not seeing anything unchanging. I'm seeing everything from psychical to physical constantly changing. So in my observation, change is the ultimate thing. I don't see anything constant. So if it is change, means creation, utpad vyay, creation, destruction. Therefore the soul is not immortal, it's not eternal. I think it's very clear. So if the law of nature is applied to pot and cloth, meaning the material objects, if they have to decay and perish in time, why not? You have brought, I was not believing in the soul at all. You made soul the substance. So if it's a substance, the law of nature should be applied to it. And even it should die. See, it's really wonderful. See the depth in his thinking. He just he does not want to argue because of ego. Just because he has said it, so now he has to just defend it. This is what we do. આપણાથી જે બોલાઈ ગયું હોય પછી એને ડિફેન્ડ કરવાનું, પછી એને જસ્ટિફાઈ કરવાનું, પછી એમાં જૂઠું પણ બોલવાનું, પકડી રાખવાનું. This is our way. This is not his way, the disciple. He has proper logic, evidences, experiences, examples ready, and he is also open-minded. The moment he gets convinced, he will say thank you. So both Shishya Bodhi Bij Kathan, which will come after the 6 pads, so it actually means the attainment of the truth by the disciple. Shishya Bodhi Bij પ્રાપ્તિ અને પ્રાપ્તિ પછીનું એનું કથન. But I have named it as the disciple's joy of attainment. But same thing, but the joy he expresses. This joy is from firm conviction and of course experience. So you see the whole, basically don't just jump to the conclusion. I am observing change moment to moment in every substance, pot, cloth, etc. Now that the soul is a substance is proved by the master, the guru. So even the soul is a substance, and the law of nature is same for all substances, and it has to be same for all the substances. So the soul has to be not eternal, number one, and now the span. So I will not consider it 70 years, 75 years, 80 years, moment to moment. So I am considering it momentary. Imagine we say the material objects are transitory. The sensual pleasures are transitory. And if this was the truth, we would say the Atmik Sukh is also transitory because Atma itself is transitory. If what the Shishya is saying is the truth, then the Atmik Sukh is momentary. Why? Because Atma is only momentary. If Atma only exists for a moment, so the happiness of the Atma or from the Atma will also have to remain for a moment. So this is due to the influence of the doctrine of momentariness of the Buddhist philosophy, especially the Vijnanvadi Buddhists. I don't want you all to go so deep, and I actually don't want you all to remember all these names also. Take it as a query of the disciple, that is the best thing. But you can't be too intelligent and open when you have a Sadguru in life. Mane to badhu abi right che na abi right. What the Sadguru believes, if that belief is not in your main, but in your footnote. I want to believe that there is only one soul, but my Guru believes in many souls. How much ever bhakti I do of my Guru, I am just cheating him. Because I favor this. He will endorse this from some viewpoint. But the way you have accepted, it is not the way your Guru has accepted that. So you are cheating on your Guru. So you need to understand the fundamental. If you are considering him your Guru, if it's only a saint, then you can just take the good points of and the viewpoints, and that's it. But you say you have surrendered and your mind favors that philosophy. That is total cheating yourself. How can you cheat a Guru? Itli bhi haisiyat nathi tamara. You can only cheat yourself. You are cheating yourself. If you say, yeah, but I do believe this. Yeah, but this is in the footnote. It's not in your main Shraddha. So footnote ma to everything, even Charvak I can put in my footnote. Till I have not experienced, I am a Charvak. I am not seeing the soul. Intellectually I am accepting it. So you are a Charvak. I can accept anything. Any dash thing in the world I can accept because of Anekantvad. But then what is Chapat then? If he is writing soul is the doer, and this Shraddha is needed for Samyak Darshan, then why is your focus more on the non-doer then? If this is needed for Samyak Darshan, then why is your focus more over there? So don't think by just accepting this as a footnote, you are in alignment with your Guru. No. You need to give up your Swachand, Mat and Agra. And all this is discussed in the introduction. So I don't need to waste my time right now. And it will be discussed again in Moksha Upaya also. Swachand, Mat Darshan Agra Tadi. Mat Darshan Agra Taji. choice of words, choice of philosophy, if everything does not get erased, you have not surrendered. And this we would see in some wonderful souls like Lallu Jimni, and કે બધું જ whole Diksha Paryay was erased. Nothing. To the extent કે અમે મુનિ નથી. 14 વર્ષનો 14 yearsનો દીક્ષા પર્યાય વાલો કે અને સત્ય મહાવ્રત. So he can't lie. 14 years the world has seen him as a muni, and he says, ના ભગવાન અમે મુનિ નથી. Truth has dawned upon him. This statement is saying the truth has dawned upon him. Okay, forget it. So let's go. So the Buddhist philosophy and the Guru will explain it very, very beautifully when he resolves this argument. But the doctrine of momentariness says that change, everything is transitory, rather momentary, and change is inevitable. Continual change, moment to moment, continuous, is the law of the universe, order of the universe. If this is the order of the universe, even the soul has to be momentary, because it's a part of the larger scheme. Jad, Chetan, both exist in the world. So. And I'm saying, according to Buddhism, the soul is destroyed every moment, but is reborn again because of the strong vasanas existing. It dies, but because there's a strong vasana, unfulfilled, strong desire, it's born again. But it again dies, unfulfilled. So he's again born. Quite funny, right, Shibani? But then you have such birthday candles also. It's finished, it's over. And suddenly the flame comes again. So what's wrong? આવું જ છે આત્માનું, એમ બુદ્ધિઝમ કહે છે. કે it dies, but because yet that moh is left, that vasana is left, it gets reborn. So the only dukh is birth, rebirth, birth, rebirth, birth, death, rebirth, janma, marana, fera. And this will go on till જ્યાં સુધી તમે લેમ્પમાં ઓઇલ નાખ્યા કરો, the flame is going to continue. Same way. When there is complete destruction of the desires, so no reason for the soul to be born again. Soul, I am saying, soul to be born again, not needed. So, absolute destruction of soul. And that is moksha. તમે કન્ફ્યુઝ થાવ તો હું શું કરું? તમે કીધું એટલે હું કહું છું. Understand? See, so the stream of consciousness is beginningless. It will end when you get liberated. But the soul itself is not beginningless. It is created, destroyed, created, destroyed, created, destroyed, created, destroyed, created, destroyed. So they call it Santan Prabha. The father dies but leaves everything with the son. So the legacy continues. This legacy is what you call Atma. But it's not actually Atma, it is a stream of consciousness. As water in the river, it's ever flowing, say. But as it's a famous Buddhist quote, you cannot step in the same river twice. ખાલી એક પગ કાઢીને બીજો પગ નાખો એટલી વારમાં તો કેટલું બધું water has changed. You can never step. So when I have to bring someone out of guilt, I use this philosophy. That's gone. That Atma with that bhav is now over now. Don't hold on to it. But if you don't, I have another example also. If you don't realize that, रात गई, बात गई. No, I've used the stick with Nemi. He said, "What, Papa? ये तो गईकाले થઈ ગયું અને it's over now." Not over. It's left a sanskar behind, son, santan, and that is going to create another mistake. Till you don't eliminate it and eradicate the sanskar, it will be born again and again and again. So I took 2 years to make him understand that. He would say કે મન મોટું રાખો ને સાહેબ ભૂલી જાઓ ને બધી મારી ભૂલો. મેં કીધું અમને ભૂલી જાઓ. If that santan is not there, I'll forget. But I can see santan in the sense of sanskar, impressions, chalta hai, it's not a big thing. I was just frank enough to say, no. Frankness also has lot of conditions. Vivek, why no Vivek, Pelo. Even if an elderly person is wrong, you cannot be frank. It may be allowed in the Western world, not here. Not in this Indian culture at least. If he is an elderly person, if it's wrong, at least that moment you should not speak anything. Then you can go and clarify. So there are many conditions. That is the Vinay and Vivek. So that is a cultural difference. So don't एकदम serious થઈ ગયા બિચારા કે ઓ પાપા મમ્મીને એમ કહો પાપા you are not right. That is your mantra from morning, right? Mom, you're wrong. Mom, you're wrong. અને એવી રીતે અમારે અહીંયા ન કરાય એવું. અહીંયા કરે એટલે એ સંતાન is wrong. See, some traditions તો કેટલું વિનય વિવેક આપણે જોઈએ છોકરાઓ મારવાડીઝમાં તો જોઈએ છોકરાઓ પગે લાગે અરે and that okay આપણે અમને કંઈ કલ્ચર વિશે so water so the river flows continuously but actually at every moment it's changing the river. Ganga must be flowing since thousands of years maybe, but it's not the same. The water at 11:10 is no more there at 11:11. The whole river is changed. So it's basically a new river at that point. The water is new. It was never there. But the stream of consciousness is constant. But the soul is not. Soul is created, destroyed. But it leaves behind the santan, the baby, the sanskar. So from the sanskar, again the whole thing comes up. Then again, આપણી પેલી કેન્ડલ યાદ રાખવાની તમારે કે સાવ extinguished લાગતી હતી. And suddenly the whole flame is there. So that's exactly the Buddhist doctrine. And they say when there's complete destruction of desires, so no reason for the soul to be reborn again, and so the soul dies. For good, meaning permanently dies. And that is nirvana. That is. So I had to refute this concept of liberation in my MA days. Equation. I had done Buddhism for 2 years. And I explained it in 2 minutes. So obviously it's going to be a little tough and confusing also, because I'm not going in detail. But so I had to refute the Buddhist concept. The concept of liberation in Buddhism is not very charming and very, what would you say? Convincing to che. Appealing is, I think, the most appropriate word. It's not appealing at all. Why, So you are telling, and I had to give an example, so I gave an example. You are telling someone that if you hang yourself and die, I'll give you 20 million. And he said, okay, now let me work for that. Hello, but who is going to get the 20 million? Because you'll be dead. So I said, this is exactly what Buddhism is saying. You will get moksha if the soul dies. But if the soul is dead, who is going to enjoy the moksha? Jainism promises anant sukh. તો ચલો એના કારણે થોડા સુખ છોડી દઈએ આપણે પીઝા આઈસ્ક્રીમ એ થોડા સુખ અનંત સુખ યુ આર ગોઈંગ ટુ ગેટ સો we'll be enjoying that anant sukh, no? But if you say you better work for your moksha, so you are going to work for your death of the soul, and then what? Then why leave all these pleasures then? So it's not a very appealing concept, because the Buddhist concept of moksha is dukkha nash. but not sukha prapti. Dukna, now you want that birth and rebirth, that cycle is broken. It's destroyed. So you don't need to go so much deep into it, but we had two arguments. One was perspective of gross modification regarding, association of the body, the soul is created, and with the destruction of the body, it gets destroyed, number one. And second, the soul is momentary because that is the law of nature. So two arguments we had, and now he's totally confused, like you all. First was easy, second was a little more philosophical. You need to know, but forget the influence of Buddhism, just forget. Everything is momentary, all substance is momentary, soul is a substance, so soul is also momentary. Our experience that even our body decays and even our feelings are ever changing. So, this is in accordance with our experience. So, a anubhavti pan nahi, atma nitya janai. Even our experience, we are not even using our logic right now. Only by experience, empirical, which can be perceived by senses, I conclude that the soul is momentary. And now he is confused, he wants a solution, so he humbly requests the Guruji will start from tomorrow, but I want you to know how the Guruji plans to start. So I'll take 3 to 4 minutes more. Take out your આત્મસિદ્ધિનું છે તમારે બુકમાં એ કાઢો because ત્યાં સુધી તમને સમજ નહીં પડે એટલે. So take out verse 60 in Prabhu's handwritings જે છે ને તે. If you don't have, you can just write down the numbers. Pencil જોઈશે, no pen. Either write it down on a piece of paper. You have it? You are ready? So 60, verse 60, ત્યાં ખાલી લખી દો 1. That's the first argument, right? Verse 60. And 61 is second. So 3 verses are over, 2 arguments in 3 verses. Now the Guru is going to clarify and give answers. So how is he going to give? So last 3, so 70, 69 and 68 is the answer of the second one. एक line मारीने you can just write 2. So the answer of the first arguments is from verse what to what? 62 to 67. And that also is divided into 3 parts. I'll just make you write this now and then we start from tomorrow. So verse 62 and 63 is 1a. 1a. It's answer of the first argument, but only the A part. Then verse 64, 5 and 6. So 1b. And third, 67 is 1c. In short, the question is, the argument was what? What was the argument in the first? First argument kya thi? Verse 60 ma? Okay, the soul is created and is destroyed. How and all, it's fine, but the soul is, it seems that the soul is not concluded right now. It seems the soul is created, or you can say born and dies. That was what he wanted to prove. And how beautifully the Guru is going to. So in verse 62 and 63, he is going to ask, this you don't need to write, but how he has divided this answer into 3 parts. Shishyaji, the Guru is saying, Shishyaji, आपने जो बोला कि आत्मा की उत्पत्ति भी है और आत्मा का नाश भी है, तो Guruji is asking only one question there. किसने जाना? Who knew that the soul, who knows that the soul is created and destroyed, it can die, it can perish. Who is the knower? Maybe the knower is right. I just want to know who is the knower. Because there are only two substances in the world, the body and the soul. So the body does not know anything, even its existence, its own existence, the body does not know. Does the clock know when it was born? Or when it's going to die? So how will the clock know when my soul will be born and die? Huh? So Jad is not possible. So what is the second option? Chetan. So we are talking of the Chaitanya Utpatti and Chaitanya death. And you want the Chetan to know. So after death, after the soul dies, the soul knows that the soul died. Don't you find yourself little, that is. Such an experience is unthinkable. How can the soul which has died will know that I have died? Just see the beauty of logic. So 62, 63, he will be asking only one question. Who came to know about the creation and destruction of the soul? I just want to know the name of the knower. I don't even want to consult the knower. He may be right, but I just want to know who is it just an imagination? It's on paper? Actually someone has known the birth of the soul and the death of the soul. So Noah. Second, so 1b, the 3 verses, 64, 65 and 66 is where your sperms and ovum and all will come. Because he's saying, he's just asking one more question. Bhagavan is asking one question. शिष्य जी, जिसमें से आत्मा की उत्पत्ति हुई, from the substances from which it is created, the substance soul, do they have the same characteristics? Otherwise, how can it be created from here? If it's created from this should possess the characteristics of this. And if this dies and becomes this, the characteristics of this should continue there. So is it like, if Atma is born from, say, 2 atoms of hydrogen and 5 atoms of nitrogen, some example, and you mix it in proper proportion in the right way, and Chaitanya Utpatti will thase. So if Chaitan has the attribute of knowingness, even hydrogen and nitrogen should have the attribute of nitrogen, because it's created from there. આપણે સમજો આનો કઈ ટાબરો થાય, આ બેનો ટાબરો થાય, ટાબરો, you understand? Baby? You said? baby boy. પણ સમજો એ ટાબરામાં ન ઋષભ જેવા ફીચર્સ છે, ન હેમલ જેવા ફીચર્સ છે. Because if it is created from you, it has to have some traits of yours, no? एकदम कर्ली हेयर वालो, एकदम डार्क स्किन, ना બધું આવડતું હોય કે आई एम सेइंग તમારા characteristics should be in your creation. So if the soul is a creation of some inanimate object, so even those objects should have the same characteristics of knowingness. Otherwise, how can it create something totally different? Right? So he is inquiring on, from which substance do you think is the soul created? Not negating anything. He's just putting questions, and that fellow confesses. Rather admits, okay, I was a fool thinking this way. Only questions, he's not given any answer. And third, do you have some authentic evidence? Or can I provide you with some authentic evidence of something carried forward from some other birth, and will be carrying forward in the next birth some authentic evidence the Guruji will give. So this way, 1a, 1b, 1c. And for the second argument, 3 verses. Let's see.
अथवा वस्तु क्षणिक छे, क्षणे क्षणे पलटाय, ए अनुभवथी पण नहीं आत्मा नित्य जणा.